Hi, Smruthi.
So,
Hi. Okay. Welcome to Ukiyoto. We are so glad to have you here. And
thank
a
you so
very
much.
good morning to you.
A very good morning to you too.
So, Smruthi, today we are going to talk about your new book, Between Bits and Pieces. So, before we start about the book, just let me know that how long have you been writing?
Uh, I think I've been writing since I was in the fourth grade. I was 9 years old when I wrote my first poem. It was a very dumb poem, but that like my parents were all, excited that I've written something for the first time and everything, and that's how it all started.
Okay, so when was your first, book and all released? When did you thought that you wanted to become an author?
No, my mom also thought I'll become an author. I never saw myself coming up to this level. And like she's always had this dream that one day there's gonna be a book which will have your name written on it and everything. So yeah, so like it was her dream that I did. So yeah.
Okay, so basically, your writing inspiration is your mom.
Yeah, I guess like not my inspiration, but she's been my biggest cheerleader. Like even when I've had like a lot of creative blocks, it's always her who's pushing me. She'll just give me these random topics, ki, go write something on this, go write something on that, and then she'll just try to make sure that I keep writing, even if I don't have the time and like the space to write and everything. But yeah, she's always done that for me.
So what is your writing inspiration exactly?
So like I think I've always used writing as an escape from things, which is why initially, like when I used to write, it always used to be a lot of sad things because like when I'm feeling bad about something, I'm not someone who's very vocal, not someone who goes and expresses, and like my way of expressing used to be writing things down, writing my
Yeah.
emotions down. So that's how I started developing my writing, and that's usually what inspires me, like me escaping from whatever is happening around me, or a way to vent out what I feel.
Okay, so coming to the book, how did you come up with the title and the theme of the book?
Okay, so these are pieces that I've written over the past 3 years when I was studying in Delhi University, Hansraj. And like uh, all of these is actually bits and pieces of me while I was growing up during that time, which is why the name Bits and Pieces. Like, I started finding out more about like from school to college, it's a huge transition. And
Yes.
my school was a beautiful place where I was given so much support and so much love. And then going suddenly to a new city where everything is new and like people are new, and you don't get that warmth that you feel in school a lot of times when you come into college and
Yes,
start a new
absolutely.
space. And like it was so chaotic at a point that like again I started using writing as a way to escape all the chaos that was happening around me. And I think between those bits and pieces that I was writing with the things that was happening is when I started finding out more about myself, more about who I was as a person and how I changed, how I grew up and everything. So that
So
was the
while
thing.
so while writing the book, what was your inspiration behind writing the book? What made you think that you should write about studying in the university and change of life and everything?
I think every one of us, especially all kids like me who are moving from a small town like Vadodara and going to a huge city like Delhi, and you most of us we feel like we're really special in school, like we're always been around people, always been around friends, you have everything, everyone to love you, support you. Suddenly you come into this city, everything is new, and there's this, you feel like a very tiny part of this huge city, and you feel like you lose yourself here because there's nothing to hold on to, kind of a thing. I think that was what made me feel like maybe this book is more relatable, because I've seen so many of my juniors, so many of my friends who've come to Delhi University or a huge college like that, and we feel very insecure, we feel scared. It's so much out there and you want to explore, but you're also limiting yourself because you don't know what's going to happen. So I think that is what I felt that is so relatable about the book.
Yes, that is. But why did you think that Delhi time concept is, Delhi has a blurry time concept? What does that mean?
Um, so Delhi has a very fast life. Like in where
Yes.
I was staying in Vadodara, like the life we had was very slow, peaceful. But in Delhi, things just keep happening. We're always living in a rush. Like it's all going here and there. Like every day you have to do this, you have to do that, and like time never stops. But even so, there are some nights when time just freezes because you feel so alone in your room, that one room that you have during your college days, be it your PG room or a room in a flat, you're alone and you just feel like there's no one around you. It's very empty because moving
No
from my
family.
home to Delhi, like my house is a very noisy place. Like we're all always talking at such loud volumes, and then suddenly coming to here, the silence is very like, empty. So I think
So it was a
that
bit
is why.
lonely for you.
Yeah. So that was what the time is a blurry concept thing. Like you don't know whether you're in a rush and suddenly you're like frozen. So it's very weird.
All right. So, do you think the emotions you conveyed in these poems will, at some point, be found relatable to other readers also?
Definitely. Definitely. I think everyone, whenever you're moving from one place to another, or whenever you're moving from one phase of life to another phase of life, you always tend to feel, vulnerable. You feel insecure.
Yeah,
You don't know what
vulnerable,
to do
lonely,
next.
depressed, and everything.
Exactly. So in that, I think everyone will relate to it at some point or another. And it's like a process of growth, right? Like how do you overcome that? How do you start feeling okay with being with yourself and things like that? So I think all of us do have that phase in life.
So, if you have to describe your book in just one sentence, would you say that it's a lonely and depressed kind of relatable book, or you would say that the walk of life and how you get over with depression and loneliness when you're away from your own family? So, how would you describe it?
I don't think it's a lonely and depressed kind of a book. It's just about a process of growth. Like the book is divided into 9 parts. So initially it shows how I was feeling when I just come to Delhi, and with time it shows how I discovered myself and how now life has come with this whole positive outlook for me, and how I know that the universe has a plan. And it's that faith, that hopes that keeps you going, and how you've evolved and transformed over time.
Yes, about the evolving, as the book is about your raw emotions based on Delhi and how you changed as a person. Can you tell us what were the days like when you were actually writing this book?
It was a mixed bag of emotions, honestly. Some days used to be really nice, like, again, it's DU, so it's so happening all the time. So some days used to be super fun. Some days have been really weird, really sad. Like, again, I told you, like, the silence used to bother me a lot. But then I found like a great set of friends with whom the silence didn't matter anymore. People I could share comfortable silences with. Like my flatmates were so good. I've had a group of friends who've always supported me, who've always like pushed me to keep writing, pushed me to do other things. And we've also like college societies and everything was there, so it had like ups and downs every time. But I think yeah, the poems that I wrote used to be nights when I used to sit alone in my room, and even if it's a happy day or a sad day, I did have something to write about it. So I would just pen my thoughts randomly. I remember sometimes I used to be half asleep and suddenly I would think of something, and I'm like, oh, I have to write this down right now. And then I would sit with my phone right in the middle of the night and I would start writing something, and then it would just piece into this beautiful write up, and I would be like, oh wow, I just did that right in the night. So yeah, that kind of thing.
So it was like a bits and pieces of journals of your life that turned into
Yes.
poem and books.
Yes.
That's amazing. So while you were writing this book, so does this book have parts of the days where you were writing the book?
I think yes, we can say so. It shows glimpses. Like you won't exactly feel like I'm telling you part of my day, but maybe it's something that happened during that particular day that got transformed into a poem. So it's a very subtle way of showing what happened without exactly telling what happened. So that kind of a thing.
So, what kind of message did you want to convey in the book, and do you think you did a good job with it?
I think if people get to the end of the book, then they'll also like what I want to say is the universe always has a plan for you, no matter what, no matter how bad things are going. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. It's gonna be okay, and again, the universe just has a plan for everyone, and I think it had a plan for me. It all worked out in the end. Like I have a great job right now. I have a great set of friends, and like I just got my book published. So all
Yes.
of that. So I think it's just been such a beautiful journey till now. So I think all we have to do is just trust the time, trust the process, and let the magic happen. And I think if people do get to the end of the book, then yeah, I have done a great job then.
So you're in Delhi right now, or
Yes,
Vadodara?
I'm in Delhi right now.
Okay. So how do you feel about Delhi right now?
It's nice. It's actually like out of college now I'm working. Like there's a lot of stability in life. It's just peacefully nice. But it's also like because I work in advertising, it also gets crazy most days. But it's a good kind of crazy, which I do enjoy. So yeah.
Yes, I think it's good to enjoy the job you're doing. That's the
Yeah.
most important thing. So, what kind of responses have you got from the readers or the people who reviewed your book?
So I've just started sharing it with a few friends and all my teachers back in school, and I think all of them have really nice reviews. And like so many of my relatives, so I didn't even tell my mom that I was getting this book published because I didn't want to jinx it, and I wanted it to be a surprise. And she was in tears. She was in tears when she saw this. It was a dream come true for her, and a lot of my friends and relatives, they were in shock that I finally went ahead and published a book of poems. Like everyone's been telling me this for the longest time, but I always was like, no, I can't do it. It's too much. It's too big. I don't know how that'll happen. But I think like I have to thank Ukiyoto for giving me this opportunity. Like I could have never pictured myself doing this, but this is great.
Well, we are very glad to publish your book. I think this is your first book, as per
Yes,
I'm listening.
exactly.
Oh my God, that will be so exciting for you. That's
Yeah.
that's really amazing, and I think you did a very perfect job with uh, based on your first book, you wrote something that people usually talk about. When I see my friends going outside, they're going to Bangalore or anything, they are like, it's very depressing, it's very lonely. I don't like it there, and they miss home. So I think bits and pieces is it's all about all these people, and it's very relatable to these people who go outside and away from family. So I think it's a great initiative that you took as an author. And also, are you working on anything else at the moment?
Not right now. This is my first book, so I want to take a little bit more time. And but I think now we'll move on to also not write, like not just poems, maybe a proper novel is what I'm thinking. So let's see what the universe has in plans. So
So how long did you take to write this book?
so again, these were things that I wrote over 3 years. So then I had to, like, there was a lot of things that I'd written in the past 3 years. But to, like, I went through them and then I had to like find a flow of things, like bring it all together so that they're not just random pieces, but together they all make sense, which it magically did when I after I read the entire book. I was like, okay, all of it is connecting dots and it's going in a beautiful flow. So I think it took me uh, a month and a half to bring it all together, to refine it, to make it good enough to be sent to a platform to be published. But yes.
So basically, 3 years of writing and 1 month of jotting it all down.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So, what advice do you have for other writers?
Just keep writing whatever your heart feels like just let your raw emotions be penned on a piece of paper, and nothing is more relatable than that, even if you don't have any fancy words. But raw emotions is what touches people, and that's what writing is about, right? To touch people, to make them feel like when they read something, it hits this chord in their heart and they're like, yes, that kind of thing.
So as the book is written about all the common people going out away for work or studies, what message do you have for those common people for whom you actually wrote the book?
Just trust the process, believe in the universe, and like just talk to people when you're not feeling good, when you're feeling alone. Just talk to people, find people that you can confide in, and just don't lock yourself up in a room and think that things will just get worse. Just keep believing that things will get better, and trust me, they always do. So yeah.
Yes, that's right. So just before we finish, I just wanted to know, wanted to give a closure about your book. So I just wanted to know any part where, your favorite poem or your favorite part of the book, and you just tell us about it a little bit, without giving any spoilers.
So I think there's a piece called To the Moon and Never Back. The usual phrase is to the moon and back, but
Yes.
to the moon and never back. So I don't want to talk about it a bit because I mean it's just the name itself should make people go and read it. But yeah, that is one of my favorite poems that I wrote, and I think if you if anyone gets the book, they should definitely go check that poem out and like tell me how they feel about it.
All right. So I have one more question. Is that what exactly did you want to, portray in the book that which was totally, raw about you? One thing that was totally raw about you that you put on the book and you conveyed the message.
I think my insecurities that I felt as a student, as a person, as an individual in a city like Delhi, where I felt like I wouldn't be good enough to do anything, but like dealing with that insecurity of mine. So I think that is something that I don't really share it with a lot of people, but I think that's what I've talked about a lot there.
Yeah, well, I think you have dealt with that already by publishing a book. So I don't think you have that insecurity anymore. I don't think you should have. Also, thank you so much for being with us. And this will be the end of the interview. But also, you guys can check out her book in our website in the Ukiyoto Publishing in our caption below. And also, thank you so much, Smruthi, for being with us and for giving us your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here and for giving me this opportunity.
Yes, we are very glad. Thank you so much. We will see you again. So have a good day and
You
bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.